in the last 3 years, we experienced COVID. And for the film and the industry, basically this was a, how do we make this all work from, I would say, from concept to acting to edit to post, et cetera, et cetera. So where were you during COVID, and were you working remotely? And weave into that, you've been in LA for this whole time, right? So how did that work out?
Yeah, it's I've been lucky to have been working through that, but it's been mostly remote. So up until this most recent job, which is hybrid, I've been working from home. So that's like a whole other way of collaborating. Our Black Lady Sketch Show season 2, 3, and 4 were entirely remote. So we only really, communicated through Slack, through texts and calls and Evercast. So it's really introduced like different ways of collaborating. But in a way, I feel like it's made it easier to collaborate because you have more access maybe to people in that way. Or if you're screening something on Evercast, you can see people's faces versus if you're sitting in a room, you're not always looking at them. So it's like you can kind of gauge what's working and when.
Is that the purpose of Evercast, so that you can watch people? Because I used to put a video camera in a screening room pointing at the people just to watch I was much more interested in people's reactions to something I was cutting than the thing. I mean, they're obviously they're both important, but do you find yourself watching people more than the thing? Or
Yeah, it's probably creepy to say. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching you on Evercast. But there's something that's nice about being able to just like in real time see those reactions. Because usually if you're physically in a room, maybe you're behind someone or you're to the side, so you're not seeing, what their facial expression is. You might be able to see if they get like distracted or turn or look at their phone just to see when there's lulls. But I don't know. I liked the ability to see that kind of stuff on Evercast.
That's cool. I had not heard of that. It sounds like a pretty interesting tool. I mean, it's probably more of like a zero latency sort of like something that can really play a long form, clip or something, or a movie. But it's just interesting. Do you ever make change? I mean, the other question about watching it or watching something you're doing is you kind of feel the movie through people watching it when you're screening it. So, it's like maybe your body matches theirs, but like, do you notice that phenomenon where it's like you're sort of channeling an audience when you screen it for people and feeling like, oh shit, this isn't working, or that's funny and I didn't realize that was funny. Like, what's that like for you?
Yeah, I usually I'll write down in a screening. I'm like, okay, this person shifted a little bit, or this person looked down, or this person did this here, just so I can like go back and try to figure out what it is that maybe they got distracted by or what they weren't really into. So usually that's my, aside from them giving me notes after the fact, I try to write down like, okay, around this time code, this happened.
Do you ever have like a
look back?
a moment where like like you're watching it, you're almost like, wow, like you have it's so, I don't know, I find that process very, very interesting because it's not like the one when you're actually engaging the work as a technician or an artisan, whatever the heck you want to call an editor. You become an audience to it, and it's really weird way. It's like I almost like know that reaction mimics my reaction because I'm feeling something, and that's why I'm noticing somebody having a like, shifting in their seat or doing something. It's because I'm going like, this doesn't work or something.
Yeah, it's always interesting shifting your perspective too, because you are like so deep in Avid or Final Cut or whatever you're cutting in. It's like you're so deep within those edits that you don't always realize how it will play if you're stepped away from your system. So I always like screenings like that, or even when I'm watching something down after I finish, whatever pass of something, I'm like, I'm gonna step away from the computer and just try to watch it on this monitor and not watch it.
That's Michael Russo said the same thing yesterday. I just want to watch it on TV. Like I'm sitting down watching something. It has a completely different, and it's impossible to be like, oh wait, let me just fix this and like jump in, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, you just like force yourself to sit with it and try to figure out what it's doing, what it's doing for your emotions at the time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I definitely try to do that as much as I can, just to step away and try to feel it for what it is outside of Avid.